Hey, how you doing? This is Neil from masterpaintingnow.com. In this video, I'm going to be doing some sketches that I did. So I recorded myself doing my daily sketches, and this will be how to sketch female bodies. I'll be giving you some tips and tricks and some pointers. And yeah, so before we get started, just so you know, the program that I'm using is PaintStorm. You can get it for only $20. You own it for life. Amazing software I use all the time. I love it for sketching, has great pencil feel. Looks like pencil, as you can see here. And yeah, it just has a great feel to it. And also, it's great for painting. So I do my Bob Ross digital painting with it. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So some of the knowledge you're going to need as we draw something like this is my figure drawing type stuff. So you need to learn some anatomy, some placement, some proportions. Before you just start sketching like I'm doing here, I'll show you some real time as I'm thinking through this. What you're going to need to do is have at least the proportions down, the mannequin down, and some anatomy down so you can start sketching like this from your imagination. It's such a free feeling to be able to sketch from imagination, to just, it's based on something you've seen before. You've probably seen, someone do a similar pose to this, but by learning the mechanics of the figure, and I teach all this in my courses. So my anatomy for figure drawing at masterpaintingnow.com, for example, I teach all this kind of stuff. I also have a lot of free videos here on the YouTube channel that can get you started. But it's being able to think about the figure, with its anatomy and mechanics and stuff. And so you can think about the proportions and how those shapes move and fit together and how they bend and the joints and where they bend. And when you learn all that kind of stuff, then you can start drawing the figure for imagination. And so here, I knew that I wanted a nice arc. That's why I drew that arc in the beginning. So I already had kind of an idea what I wanted the figure to do. So I start out and I kind of block in the basic torso shape, which is just an oval, and then I add the shoulders onto it, basically like triangles. Now the next shape on the bottom there, as you can see, is this kind of Superman underwear shape. And so that's the bottom shape that I think about. And when I put these two together, then I'm kind of thinking about the arms and all that kind of stuff. And at first, I place the arms kind of like where I think they're going to be. And one thing I like to do is think about where I want my hands to be. And I'll usually draw my hands first. I'll draw them exactly where I want them to be in space. And then I can connect the arms to them. Because if my hand is right here, then I know it has to be foreshortened, right? I know that her arm has to come either down and then this part needs to come toward us and be foreshortened, or this part needs to go back in space and this part needs to come forward. But I can draw, two segmented lines to the hand, and then I know if I have to foreshorten it or not. And so here I start to kind of, sketching where I want my legs to be. Using basic form right now. I'm not, I'd add a little bit of anatomy into it just because, I have a lot of experience drawing the figure. But if you're not so familiar with anatomy, just stick to the basic, mannequin and draw a mannequin here first. And then after you have the mannequin shapes, then you can start, adding some of the anatomy in there, the anatomy that you do know. And how I teach anatomy is like where muscles attach and all that. So that way it's easy to, this muscle comes here and comes down like this and gives this shape and stuff. So you kind of, figure out what the shapes are. You know that how the deltoids attach. So I know the arm has this kind of shape like this. The deltoid comes out further than the bicep. So you have this kind of S curve right here that comes out again because of this muscle. And then knowing how the arm is bent or moving and how those muscles stretch. I teach all that in my course. I decided I wanted to leg down further because out here didn't look right. Like, I suppose if the camera's kind of tilted down toward us, then the ground plane, this leg could be on the ground, this leg can be on the ground. But I want the camera tilted more. I want the horizon line more right about here, or maybe even down here more. So that because of that, I need to lower the legs. I want this leg and this leg to be both on the ground. And so I didn't like how that looks. So I'm just kind of changing a little bit. And also I kind of tilted the leg. I turned it toward us a little bit, and that's why it changed shapes a little bit. And I didn't like the arm here. Like the arm, originally I was gonna have the arm come like this and come down like this, kind of more relaxed. But then I was like, well, it kind of blocks all this anatomy in here I want to show off. I don't want to block all that. So I want to come out this way with it instead. So I just reposition the hand and have it just like lightly touching her knee, which is kind of, it adds an interesting elegantness to this pose. It really does change the pose. It turns this into a triangle. Before it looked a lot more relaxed. Now it looks a little more powerful. It's still kind of a relaxed pose, but it's more of a powerful pose. Trick when drawing breast. think about them as ovals attaching to the body, or a heart. You have a heart, upside down heart right here, like that. Think about the upside down heart shape, and that gives you your breast. Now, her chest is almost turned directly toward us, but it is slightly turned away from us. Not quite a 3/4 view, but almost. And that's why I don't draw this quite as a side view like up here. I still it's a mild 3/4 view. It's just a shape you have to get used to over time with drawing. But as you can see, there's notice the shape of skin here between the breast and the arm, and up here as well. See these little wedge shapes? That's important, and that shape is there with every real female. Sometimes cartoons, they'll just leave a space there, sometimes they won't. Sometimes they'll just draw the breast out here, which looks strange. But anyways, that's what those are. And then make sure you have space between the collarbones and where the breasts start. There's this flat piece of skin right here, the flat part of the chest before the breasts start coming out. Don't draw them way up here. It doesn't look right. It looks weird. So I just want to show some real-time drawing. And here's the pen I'm using. It's a pencil that's built into its default pencil. Actually, it comes with PaintStorm. So you just go to the pencil icon here, and you see all the different pencils. It's the second one in the list. All right, we're going to go ahead and forward pass some of this. I go ahead and add like a little bikini there and down here just to kind of make her not totally nude. I'm not totally happy with this one. This was I drew these ones really fast first. Then I did this one. This one is a more difficult pose. So I would want to go back and revisit this a few more times before I was happy with it, I think. Like, redraw it a couple more times. It's not quite where it needs to be, but for a quick daily sketch, it's fine. And then boom, so what I do is I draw bigger and then I reduce the size, and that's how I fill up a page. Which is cool about digital. If I was working on actual physical paper, I'd have to actually draw them, small to begin with. So here, I start with this shape right here. So notice I have this oval and I have this kind of, I don't know what to call this shape, but it's kind of like a oval this way, And maybe you could think about it as like an upside down triangle that's kind of a rounded out triangle. And this is good for a female body shape. It has that hourglass shape in there. And so once you understand the proportions and everything, you can start with pretty much any shape you want here. But this shape I felt served the pose I was thinking of. Let's go ahead and fast forward really fast. And then we'll like that and come back and I'll talk about what I did. Just so you can kind of see what's about to happen. So here I'm drawing the basic shape of the shoulders. And again, whenever I draw this oval shape, I usually always draw this kind of U shape for the collarbone. And then I attach these two like kind of triangle shapes here to the top, which is basically going to be the shoulders and the skin that, stretches out to the shoulder. Highly recommend getting in a habit of doing that. And that can, how you have those shoulders is going to dictate the pose. And so I have the shoulders kind of shrugged up. And that's actually, I kind of went kind of fast there. Let's go ahead and go back here. Let's go a little bit slower. I'm going to kind of put some of this in real time for you guys. So even though it looks like I'm making several strokes, I'm making the whole stroke lightly, and then I'm going over it a few more times to get it darker. But what I'm not doing is just chicken scratch. Chicken scratch is where you kind of like do little lines and connect the lines together to make a long line. I try to think about the full form of the line, and I kind of go over the line softly, and then I hit it harder to make sure the line shows up. I go through all this in my course. I show all about how to use pencil, how to get proper lines, how to hold the pencil, how to get nice smooth lines, practices to do to get your pencil work looking really good. And this is both for digital and physical. The techniques work for both. And that's in my new course, which is the fundamentals of drawing anything. I go through how to, think in 3D and how to draw and think of shadows and all that kind of stuff. It teaches you how to draw for imagination. So here I'm just kind of working out the pose here. I have that. See, notice how this hand is kind of up, like these fingers. First I draw the first kind of rectangle to represent from the knuckles to the wrist. And then the second one is from the knuckles to the tips of the fingers. And I have them bent this way. So that way she's kind of holding something. Because at first I had this idea to have her pulling her pants off, like the really stretchy pants, and she was like pulling them off. So I was kind of a cool idea. And at first I do it this way, and then as I'm looking at it and drawing it, I'm thinking, it looks cool. I could just stop there and be like, okay, that's a cool sketch, because I'm just doing sketches. I'm not trying to do full drawings. It's just to get ideas down. All these are done, pretty quickly. About 15 minutes, I think. Well, you can see here 36 minutes for this whole thing. So divide that in half, and you get about, I guess, almost like 17 minutes for each one, something like that. Anyway, now I decided to go the other way with it because this way it's like it didn't show enough of the I wanted to be more sexy, and this didn't show off enough of the body. I wanted more of the torso to be shown off. And I just figured this arm doesn't really do nothing, so it'd look better if I switched to that arm. And so I'm going to stretch this arm back. This arm is just kind of becoming behind her now. I drew the hand way too big. It's all right, though. It's just a sketch, so it's not a big deal. And then at first I had the face kind of up like that, and I was like, that's kind of cool, but I don't know. I think I'm going to have the face kind of just looking down like this. And just add quick shapes. And so you can see because it's so small, these drawings aren't very big, and my pencil's you can see how large my pencil marks are. And so I can't really add too much detail, so I'm just kind of shorthanding some shapes here. As you can see, so I'm just adding some shorthanded shapes for the face. And it's a good, it's good sometimes to add just little details to your sketches. And it's good practice to draw, to have to like shorthand the face by just doing, very basic shapes to kind of build up the face. That way it's kind of it's recognized as a face from distance. Really good if you want to draw comics too, because when you have small panels and the characters are in the background, you have to draw, if you want them to have some sort of face, you have to make it like this. You have to do shorthand so that it reads even though it's far away. And sometimes you even put less information. Sometimes you don't do faces at all if they're too far away. All right, so then I add some hair. Now I'm just kind of fixing some things up. So that originally I kind of liked it like this with the smaller breast, but I'm like, I'm going to see what it looks like if I kind of change the breast here. And I wanted to give her a shirt, so I made him a little bit bigger. Gave her a quick shirt. So now she has on shirt and pants. And add a little bit of shading, reduce her in size, and she's done. All right, let's go and get to the next one now. So usually when I sketch, I try to fill up a whole page of stuff, just depends. I just kind of sketch until I get bored of it, or until I feel like I filled up a page, either one. Usually I sketch until I just don't want to sketch anymore. Unless I'm running short on time, then I'll like, if I find myself not getting bored, I'll at least I'll go until I fill up a page. I won't want to keep going because, if I have other stuff I need to do for the day. So here I did a slightly different technique. I'll do this in real time here. You can see I draw this kind of bowl shape, and then I add kind of like, it's basically a bowl, kind of tilted down toward us so we can kind of see what's inside the bowl. And then on top of that bowl, I add the oval shape, which represents like the rib cage. And then I'm just adding, lines so I know about how long I want the arms to be, because I have this idea. I know what I want her doing. As a matter of fact, I'll do what I did last time. It's going kind of forward through. Right, so that's the end result. I did one from the back too. So the idea is I wanted her to kind of be pulling her pants up, apart. At first, I was going to have her upper body kind of pulled back away from us, which means that you'll see the breast from a different angle, from an underside angle. But then I was like, I don't know, I didn't like it, and I didn't draw the shoulders. Like, if this was pulled up more, this is incorrect right now, which is why it looks strange. Because if she was pulling this upper part of her torso back away from us, like bending her shoulders would go back in space as well, so they become foreshortened. So the breast would have to be closer to the shoulders. And you see that I'm just sticking to, those basic shapes. Look, I'm just building right on top of those basic shapes. I'm just building some of my, anatomy. And here I'm just keeping the anatomy loose and simple. So it's not like, necessarily fully accurate, but it gets the idea across. And I can take any one of these and then, turn it to a final picture or drawing by, correcting all the anatomy or even getting a reference at that point, trying to find something that's similar or close to what I'm doing so that I know that everything's going to look as accurate as possible. So what's cool about working in this program is that, instead of like if I was working on pencil and paper, I would have had to erase the arms and redraw them, which wouldn't be too big of a deal, but this does save time. I can just use the lasso tool. I can lasso the arm, so I can just go around the arm and then I can, here I'll show you like that, see? I'll show you this one here. So you can lasso the arm, like the part I want to move. And then I go to Edit, Free Transform, and now I can, tilt it and move it to where I want it to be, and click OK without having to redraw everything. Then I just can, redraw a few things. And adding some other. So now I'm erasing the breast because I didn't like the way they looked, like I said. So here, I'm going to draw them like as if they're more just front facing. And notice I'm doing ovals. I'm not doing circles. Get used to drawing ovals and draw the ovals at a slight angle, at a slight 45-degree angle. Again, making the upside down heart shape. If you kind of come up to here like that, you can kind of see the upside down heart. If you continue these lines up like this. And that's how you get realistic looking breast. Notice I'm still putting that skin right here between the shoulders and the breast. I'm also leaving, I have her chest pulled back a little bit, but I'm still leaving this piece of skin between her collarbone and the breast. It's not as much as I did on these ones because she's kind of pulled back, so there's a little bit of foreshortening. And just add a little bit of shading. I was going to do nipples, and I decided now I'm just going to do bikini top of some sort. In this case, not even like a real bikini top, it's just like shapes. Add a little bit of hair. I decided not to do a face for her just because it wasn't really that much room. And honestly, for sketches like this, it's good just to leave heads with hair. There's really no reason to do a face. It's so tiny or not. I mean, unless you need practice with, drawing small faces. So here to do the backside, I kind of notice the same thing. I've started with an oval this way and an oval this way. This one's a more squatted, shorter oval, and this is a longer oval. You put them both together, and this is pretty much going to give you the figure. And then from the back side, I'm adding the basic anatomy for the back, and I'm adding the basic anatomy for the butt. Notice just shapes that follow the anatomical structure. Again, to learn all that, you really have to, go through, either learn it yourself some other way, or you can take my course, which puts everything in a very easy to understand fashion. My anatomy for human figure drawing. So again, it's at masterpaintingnow.com. It's supposed to be on sale, but I think my coupons ran out. So if you were to go try to buy it right now on the website, I think it would be like $98 or something like that. I mean, it'll, on my site, it'll say, I think 13 or something, but because the coupons run out now every month from Udemy, if you click on it now, it'll actually tell you, it'll take you to the page, but instead of saying 13, I think it'll say like 98 or something like that. So if you do want that discount, I just need to update the website. Hopefully the website will be updated by the time you go there. But if you notice that it's not, just shoot me an email on the website and just let me know. And also leave a comment here on YouTube, because YouTube notifies me all the time when I get comments. I see those all the time. So whereas the emails I don't check all the time. But yeah, definitely just send a comment here and say, hey, or even just send a comment here. You don't have to email me. Just send a comment here and say, hey, I was wondering if you had the coupon for, for $13 for the course. And I can just post it as a response to your comment. And that way other people, if they wanted it too, they can get it that way. So here I'm trying to figure out, how to make this work. I want it to kind of look like she had just pulled her pants down and she had to pull it over her butt. If this was animated, she would have pulled it over her butt, and then her butt would have sprung and bounced a couple times, and then her butt's kind of being smashed against it, as if the pants are kind of propping the butt up a little bit. And so I mess with it a few times, and notice to get that kind of look, I draw this right here. See, I kind of come out like that, and right here, come out like an up, so it looks like it's kind of being smashed upwards. redraw the hand because I didn't like it. I take a couple times to get this right because I don't like how it looked. And then draw the hair and reduce her and she's done. All right, and then we have, I think, one more that I did. This one was a little bit difficult for some reason. It kind of gave me a little bit of issues. So I was thinking I wanted to kind of be kind of a sideways and slash 3/4 view. And so I wanted that bend right there to really show. That's the bend and like from her rib cage to her lower hips and butt. And I wanted that to kind of read through. So I drew this angle there first to make sure. The reason why I drew the angle there first is that way when I draw the ovals, they'll fit into that shape that I want them to fit into. And then just kind of fast forwarding here. I think through, notice I drew through the figure, then erased it. It's good to draw through the figure to see, how long it needs to be and stuff. And at this point, it's like, okay, yeah, that's looking pretty close. I noticed that I definitely need more rib cage over here. And I definitely would want to draw this a few more times to get the shape better. Like I think I'd want this arm more straight and to push up and push her breast out this way more to kind of arch this part of her figure out that way more and kind of bend it more like that. And then once I have the kind of basic shape, I decided I want this to be the last one, so I made it larger so I can add a little more detail. Not a full final drawing, but just a more detailed sketch. And so you see I kind of, I changed the shape a little bit and it looks a little better now that it has this, you're seeing more of the side view here, of the side of the rib cage here. So it's like 3/4 view. And then it's going to almost a complete side view here with the hips. I decided to add some clothes. I changed some things a few times. And I'm like, okay, that looks pretty good. I think I'm happy with that. And I'm going to draw in another layer so I can go back over it darkly. And this is how I like to design stuff. So if I'm like putting clothes, I do on a different layer so I can, that way I don't mess up the under sketch. And then add some shoes, stockings. And there you go, just a quick sketch turned into basically a version of Harley Quinn. That's why like one stocking's dark, one's light, because one's supposed to be red, and then same thing with here, but black and white. So I just did it with, light and dark. But very quick sketch, I actually end up doing a final little drawing / painting. Well, actually, it's more of a painting, I guess, of this idea. And I can show that really fast. It took about an hour to hour and a half to do the whole thing. Pictures. So I kind of gave her this, I don't know if I like her face expression or not, but these are just, basically, these are paint sketches. The same thing as like a sketch, but in this case, you're using color and stuff, and it's just a paint sketch. That's why it's done very quickly. It's not all super refined or anything, but I like the look of paint sketches. They look really cool. It's just, speed paintings, basically do a painting very quickly. But see how I kind of fix some things. I'm still not totally happy with it. I think I should put this arm to where it's touching the ground and then really pushing her back out more. I don't know, but it looks pretty good. And then also, if you guys are interested, I put more brushes on my website. So if you go to masterpaintingnow.com, I have my free Bob Ross brushes. I also have my free painting brushes, the brushes I use to like do that Harley Quinn painting. And it has my brush I'm about to show you here really fast. These brushes here, my abstract brushes. And they work really cool. I'm just gonna kind of go through this really fast here. I'll probably be doing a sped up video of this and kind of talking over like my thought process, but for now I'll just kind of show you. This is all using those brushes. I did this pretty quickly actually. And so I like doing these abstract paintings where I have, and this is all from imagination. So I have an idea, I kind of want the sun peeking through some clouds, maybe some sort of farmland or something. And what's cool about this is you don't have to worry about accuracy. It's more about shapes and color. mostly about color, how you mix all those colors together, and that's the final version. But anyway, those are the brushes I use. I can show you some. Let's go back here real fast. Show you some stuff in real time. Actually, I'll go way back to here. So they're really nice. You can see how you can kind of, if you do it lightly, you can kind of smear color around with it and create texture and kind of smear the texture together or create more texture. It's really cool. So they're really cool brushes. As you can see, it gives you that really, I believe it gives you a nice kind of realistic look in the end, where it looks like I might have painted this with real paints, more of a traditional look. Looks really nice if you like abstract, at least. I like abstract, so. And also, those same brushes, if you've seen my channel, you've seen me do the Bob Ross stuff. So anyway, both sets of brushes are there. Go to the newsletter, and you'll see the links for the brushes and also a video on how to install them. I'm going to also show you the final sketches really quick, just because it looks better like this, I think. This one's a little bit funky. Like, I think this leg can be a little bit longer. There's some stuff I don't like about it. But, being from imagination, they all came out pretty good. Good enough for comic panels, like this would pass for a comic panel if you inked over it and made it look all cool. And so, yeah, if you just want to like get to the point where you can draw comics from your imagination, then definitely I recommend check out my courses. And I'm working on a new course. It's going to be basically another anatomy course, but my other course is 60 hours long. It's like full of tons of detail. The one I'm working on now is going to have some newer, updated like things I do now, some newer techniques and stuff like that. But it's also going to be a much faster course. It's still going to have all the anatomical stuff in there, but it's basically a crash course for anatomy. And here's some of the drawings for the course that I've worked on so far, that we learn how to do. Learn how to do the stick figure, learn how to do the mannequin, and also we learn how to do the same thing in my course right now on my website, by the way. This is just going to be like I said, a crash course version of it, and I kind of changed the mannequin shapes a little bit for this updated course. Just kind of showing some of the stuff I've got done so far for it. Showing the top-down view of basic shapes and the basic skeleton. This is like fundamental. You have to learn the proportions, and I also have relative proportions. And once you learn proportions, you can see all the relative proportions here, and those things always apply. And I talk about that in different videos here on the YouTube channel. There's just different things that if you start from the torso, I did a recent video I think where we start from the torso. But if you start from the torso, you can then divide the torso in half. And you can see that, the arms. Anyway, I'm not going to go into all that now. This video is long enough. But yeah, so there you go. All right, cool. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, do me a favor, smash that like button. Go ahead and leave a comment if you want to get one of my courses. Let me know which one you want, and I can post the coupon code for you so you can get it for $13. All right, cool. Thanks for watching. Until next time.